Hi everyone, welcome to Wow Stories. I am Miss Wow. When you think of top stock traders, names like Warren Buffett, George Soros, or Korakawa Ginzo might come to mind. But today, we're introducing you to a new generation stock trader who's a legend in the Japanese stock market, Takashi Kotagawa. At 22, he was just an ordinary college junior. By 24, he had grown his personal assets from 1.6 million yen, around 9,900 USD, to 200 million yen, around 1.25 million USD. By 30, he hit an astounding 21.8 billion yen, around 135 million USD, all through trading stocks. Even Masayoshi Son, the president of SoftBank, extended a dinner invitation and offered to entrust him with managing his assets, but Kotagawa politely declined. Let's dive into his story, starting with a major error on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, TSE, in 2005. On December 8, 2005, Japanese stockholders were gathered at TSE, eyes glued to the market index. It was a significant day because jcom, a human resources service company, was listing its stock for the first time, issuing 14,500 shares. At 9:27 a.m., a historic moment unfolded. A trader at Mizuho Securities received an order from a client to sell one share of jcom for 610,000 yen, around 3,800 USD. However, perhaps due to early morning grogginess, the trader mistakenly entered into the system to sell 610,000 shares for 1 yen each. A warning popped up on the terminal, but the trader, accustomed to seeing such warnings daily, ignored it and confirmed the order. As a result, this colossal sell order appeared on the TSE trading board. Normally, TSE's trading system has price limits to prevent such errors, and a price of 1 yen would not typically be accepted. To make matters worse, jcom's stock was being traded for the first time that day, and without a previous day's closing price, the limits didn't apply, allowing this absurd transaction to go through. As the market opened, many were ready to buy jcom shares at around 900,000 yen each, around 5,600 USD. But the trader's blunder caused jcom's stock price to plummet to 672,000 yen within minutes, and then to 572,000 yen, around 35.50 USD. Chaos erupted in the TSE. Investors panicked, thinking something was seriously wrong with jcom, and rushed to sell off their shares at a loss. But some savvy institutions and experienced traders recognized it as a fat finger error and quickly bought shares at the low price. A fat finger error happens when a trader mistakenly enters incorrect information into a trading system, often leading to unusual transaction volumes and prices that can trigger market turmoil. The repercussions weren't limited to jcom's stock price. Mizuho Securities didn't disclose their mistake until after the market closed that day. Throughout the day, rumors circulated about a brokerage making a costly mistake, causing widespread panic. With uncertainty about which firm was responsible, investors sold off shares across all brokerages. By day's end, the Nikkei index had plummeted by 301.3 points. In fact, just 1 minute and 25 seconds after inputting the wrong numbers, the unlucky Mizuho trader realized that he had made a major mistake and issued 3 consecutive withdrawals. But they were all rejected by the TSE trading system. This was later found to be due to a system bug. At that moment, the trader quickly called TSE staff, asking them to withdraw the erroneous sell order. However, the staff explained that they didn't have the authority to cancel specific transactions at will, and that any cancellations had to follow prescribed procedures. Knowing it would take too long to get approval, Mizuho Securities decided to buy back the wrongly sold shares to minimize their losses. After they placed the buy order, jcom's stock price shot up, reaching 772,000 yen, around 4,800 USD per share by 9:43 a.m. Even though Mizuho Securities took action to buy back the shares, there were still 96,236 jcom shares bought by other investors. The problem was that jcom had only issued 14,500 shares, meaning the traded shares were 6.6 times the total issued. According to trading rules, once a sale is made, the seller must deliver the shares to the buyer. But how could Mizuho deliver shares that didn't exist? It's not like they could just create them out of thin air. Finally, the Japan Securities Clearing Corporation ruled that both the buyer and the seller would settle in cash instead of stocks. The settlement price was set at 912,000 yen, around 5660 USD per share, which was the share price just before the trader made the error. Mizuho's executives were devastated, facing massive losses. In the world of trading, one person's loss is another's gain. Some institutions and experienced traders quickly realized it was a fat finger error and bought large quantities of jcom stocks at low prices, making huge profits. On December 14, 2005, under pressure from public opinion and the government, institutions like UBS, Nikko Cordial Group, Morgan Stanley Japan, and Lehman Brothers Japan agreed to return the profits made from the incident. Some securities and fund companies argued that they couldn't simply return the money to Mizuho Securities directly, as it could be seen as a gift under the law, potentially leading to lawsuits from their shareholders and fund holders for violating the responsibilities of directors and fund managers. In February 2006, after many consultations, the parties involved reached a compromise. The Japan Securities Dealers Association would set up a fund to protect market stability and collect initial funds from institutions that profited from the incident. This solution allowed these institutions to return their gains without facing legal repercussions from shareholders and fund holders. However, Mizuho Securities still faced losses amounting to tens of billions of yen, exceeding their annual operating profit. Compared to the institutions, the individual investors who profited from the fat finger error had much better luck. The government couldn't pressure them, so they were allowed to keep their earnings by submitting a large shareholding report. As a result of this policy, Kotegawa began to gain widespread recognition throughout Japan. As mentioned earlier, the short-sold stocks on that day were settled directly in cash. According to the rules, at the time of settlement, the names of large holders of jcom shares would be published on the list of major shareholders. To everyone's surprise, an individual investor named Takashi Kotegawa had placed large orders at the daily limit price, snapping up 7,100 shares of jcom stock in just 16 minutes. After Mizuho Securities pushed the stock price up to 772,000 yen, he sold 1,100 shares. The remaining 6,000 shares were later settled at 912,000 yen each. Through these transactions, Takashi Kotegawa made a net profit of 2 billion yen, around 12.5 million USD, becoming the individual trader with the highest daily trading volume in Japanese financial history. His involvement in the jcom fat finger incident earned Takashi Kotegawa the nickname jcom Man. Knowing all that, you may have realized that Takashi Kotegawa couldn't be an ordinary investor. He must have had substantial funds to buy 7,100 shares of jcom stock in such a short time. Indeed, before the fat finger error, he had already amassed over 100 million yen, around 620,000 USD, through stock trading. Born in 1978 in Chiba Prefecture, Japan, Takashi Kotegawa grew up in an ordinary family. From a young age, he was introverted and preferred to keep to himself. Although unremarkable in most aspects, his standout quality was his consistently good academic performance. Upon entering university, he moved to Tokyo and enrolled in the law faculty of a private institution. His classmates saw him as a loner who spent his spare time working at a nearby convenience store and reading in his rented apartment, hardly ever going out, perfectly fitting the stereotype of the Japanese super otaku. What people may not have realized was that his preference for solitude laid the groundwork for his future success. By forgoing unnecessary social activities, he had more time to contemplate his path ahead. In his junior year, while classmates were busy job hunting, years of part-time work led him to realize that he wasn't cut out for office life. The idea of navigating workplace relationships drained him, and he doubted his ability to handle them well. After much contemplation, he decided to pursue a career as a professional masseur after graduation. This job spared him from business trips and office politics while requiring only minimal interaction with customers, an ideal fit for someone grappling with social anxiety. He pursued this path until one day when he stumbled upon a book titled Reminiscences of a Stock Operator in a Bookstore. The main character, Jesse Lauriston Livermore, a famous Wall Street trader, introduced him to a new world. Using the 1.6 million yen he saved from part-time work, Takashi Kotegawa began experimenting with short-term trading on his old desktop. From 2000 to 2004, Takashi Kotagawa exchanged trading experiences with other individual investors under the username BNF on 2channel, Japan's largest BBS website. The username BNF is derived from the abbreviation of his idol, the American speculative investor genius Victor Niederhofer. Because the Japanese pronunciation of V is similar to B, he decided to go by BNF. Initially, users on the 2channel forum admired BNF for his diligence and ambition, as he consistently posted his daily trading records and shared insights with others. However, as time went on, they began to notice that his daily profits sometimes exceeded the average annual income of ordinary Japanese white-collar workers. This sparked jealousy among some users, who then resorted to harshly insulting him. After 2004, BNF gradually disappeared from 2channel. On December 8, 2005, following the Mizuho Fat Finger incident, Kotagawa revealed in an interview that he was the renowned BNF from 2channel. By then, his net worth had skyrocketed to unimaginable levels for the average person. In 2000, he started trading stocks with 1.6 million yen, around 9,900 USD. By 2001, his total assets had reached 61 million yen, around 380,000 USD. In 2002, they exceeded 96 million yen, 590,000 USD. By 2004, they had risen to 1.15 billion yen, over 7 million USD. 3 years after Mizuho's Fat Finger error, Kotagawa's total assets had reached 21.8 billion yen, 135 million USD. During the same period, the Nikkei index, which represents the overall level of Japanese stock prices, fell from over 19,000 points in 2000 to 7,000, 8,000 points in 2003, before rebounding to over 17,000 points in 2007. This demonstrates that Kotagawa did not amass his fortune by simply riding the bull market trend. Rather, he relied on his talent and skills. As an individual investor, his accomplishments are likely unparalleled in history. In 2008, a Japanese interview program that followed Kotagawa revealed that his daily life was very plain and monotonous. He got up at 7:30 every morning and sat in front of 5 or 6 computer screens in his studio before 9 o'clock, waiting for the market to open. He would stare at the computer screens all morning without distraction, handling transactions worth tens of billions of yen, and often making a net profit of tens of millions a day. Despite his enormous trading volume, his lifestyle was surprisingly frugal. Every single day, Kotagawa would have oolong cup noodles for lunch. He explained that because of the short midday break and the risk of feeling drowsy from eating too much, which could affect his afternoon trading, instant noodles were the best choice. Kotagawa doesn't smoke, drink, or frequent venues of entertainment. In a 2008 interview, he mentioned that he had never had a girlfriend. He wore inexpensive clothes bought from supermarkets and had no hobbies. He treated stock trading like a game, describing himself simply as a stay-at-home stock trading nerd. On weekends or during his time off, he just stays at home reading books, playing games, or occasionally taking a walk outside. Kotagawa said that the most expensive thing he ever bought for himself was 2 Nintendo Wii consoles, one for upstairs and one for downstairs.
そんな J さんに最近買った一番高価なものを聞いてみると、
Wii を2台買ったぐらいですか。下の部屋と2階とで2台買ったって感じですか。
2台ないとダメなんですか。
別に2台なくてもいいんですけども、あった方がいいんで。
In the interview, he said frankly that he had no interest in spending money, yet somehow he kept accumulating more and more of it.
だからあまりお金を本当使うことはそんなに興味ないんだけど、なんかお金増やしてるっていうなんかそういうのはよくわかんないんですけど。
When Kotagawa went out, he carried at most 20,000 to 30,000 yen, less than 200 USD. He didn't have much to buy, and he mentioned not wanting to handle large amounts of cash because it could affect his judgment in the stock market. After making money, Kotagawa bought a 3-story mansion for his parents, and he was living there with them when he was interviewed in 2008. He also once bought a car for his father as a birthday present, but he still chose to take the subway when he went out by himself. It was also around 2008 that he began to invest in real estate. He first spent 9 billion yen, around 56 million USD, to buy the commercial building Chomchom Akihabara in Akihabara, Tokyo. In 2011, he bought the Akiba Culture Zone for 17 billion yen, around 105 million USD. And then in 2013, he bought a new building in Shibuya. As for the reason for investing in real estate, Kotagawa said that he had too much cash on hand, and since the stock market was slowing down, large-scale buying and selling could have a significant impact on the stock market, so he wanted to diversify his investments. In 2008, after several TV interviews, Kotegawa completely disappeared from the public eye. At the same time, a series of disputes caused by the Mizuho fat finger error in 2005 were not resolved until 2015. Although Mizuho Securities was the primary culprit in the fat finger incident, the Tokyo Stock Exchange, TSE, also received extensive criticism. Upon realizing their erroneous order, the unfortunate Mizuho trader immediately issued multiple cancellation requests, all of which were rejected by the TSE system, clearly violating the system's trading rules. The trader then contacted TSE personnel by phone, yet TSE still allowed the erroneous sell order to proceed, raising concerns about inadequate oversight. On December 9, 2005, at a press conference held by the Tokyo Stock Exchange, TSE, President Takuo Tsurushima, Director Sadao Yoshino, and IT System Department Director Tomio Amano bowed to the public and apologized, stating that they would take responsibility for the incident and resign. In contrast, the Mizuho trader did not face severe repercussions. The company was well aware that he did not have tens of billions of yen to compensate for the losses. To this day, Mizuho Securities has not disclosed his real name, identifying him only as a male securities broker. The incident occurred right before the annual bonuses were awarded at the company. This trader's mistake resulted in all his colleagues losing their bonuses. It was said that he became the most hated person at Mizuho during that period, but it remains unclear whether he resigned afterward. Mizuho Securities and the TSE engaged in a war of words. Mizuho argued that the TSE was responsible for their loss of over 40 billion yen and should compensate them. The TSE rebutted that it was Mizuho Securities that should take full accountability for their fat finger error. Mizuho countered by accepting blame for the initial mistake and the losses incurred before the cancellation order was issued. However, they held TSE at fault for the continued losses after it was issued, contending that TSE failed to stop the erroneous order. After prolonged negotiations failed to resolve the issue, Mizuho Securities filed a lawsuit in September 2006 against both the TSE and Fujitsu, the developer of the TSE trading system. Thus began the lengthy litigation process. Investigations revealed that the bug in the TSE trading system had been accidentally introduced by Fujitsu technicians during a program modification in 2000. Ideally, strict regression testing should have been conducted after each program modification to verify that no other functions were affected. However, Fujitsu neglected this testing, and the TSE also overlooked it during their user acceptance testing process. As a result, this unseen vulnerability finally erupted in 2005. Initially, the TSE tried to shift all the blame onto Fujitsu in court. They argued that while the bug in the TSE trading system caused Mizuho Securities' loss, Fujitsu was responsible because the TSE's system requirements stipulated that it should have the ability to cancel orders, a function that Fujitsu's program failed to provide, leading to the occurrence of this incident. However, no system is entirely free of bugs. According to the TSE's argument, Microsoft, the world's largest producer of software bugs, should have been bankrupt long ago. The Tokyo District Court held that the TSE was primarily responsible for the trading system, with Fujitsu being a secondary party responsible for joint liability, and that as long as there was no intentional or gross negligence, the secondary party could be exempt from liability. This raised the question, is an undiscovered bug considered gross negligence? The court determined that gross negligence would depend on whether the bug was easily detectable. The prosecution and defense then began to argue over the code. Mizuho Securities, TSE, and Fujitsu each brought in senior programmers to form expert groups. The Mizuho experts claimed, "This bug is so simple it can be spotted with the naked eye. You've tested it numerous times and still missed it. Did your programmer learn coding from a music teacher?" Fujitsu experts retorted, "Are you saying that you can find a bug in such a complex combination of conditions just at a glance? Okay, go ahead and prove it to us." The judge, though maintaining a calm composure, probably had a pounding headache, regretting not taking programming courses in law school. Ultimately, the Tokyo District Court ruled that the system bug did not constitute gross negligence. Thus, Fujitsu was not held liable and was not required to pay compensation. The court found the TSE responsible for failing to halt an abnormal transaction after Mizuho Securities contacted them by phone. Mizuho Securities was also deemed responsible for the initial fat finger error. Finally, the court determined that TSE should bear 70% of the losses incurred after the phone call, totaling 10.7 billion yen, 66.5 million USD, while Mizuho Securities should bear the remaining 30%. Both Mizuho Securities and the TSE were dissatisfied with the verdict and soon appealed to the Tokyo Supreme Court. On September 3, 2015, the Tokyo Supreme Court denied the appeal and upheld the original verdict. The 10-year lawsuit finally came to an end. Let's circle back to Takashi Kotegawa and discuss something that many are curious about. Why did some people lose everything in short-term trading, while Kotegawa's net worth surged by tens of thousands in just a few years? What were the unique qualities that made this stock trading prodigy stand out? Takashi Kotegawa has long faded from public view, yet rumors about him have never stopped. Some say he retired from trading. Others insist he's gone bankrupt and fallen into poverty. There are also claims that his personal assets surpassed 200 billion yen by 2019, and that he has settled down and is enjoying a happy family life with his loved ones. From his past interviews, it's clear that Kotegawa led a simple life and was dedicated to a singular focus. He enjoyed the trading process without being obsessed with money. Socially, he was polite but not as formal as many Japanese, and he avoided unnecessary socializing, instead focusing purely on his interests. This quality is often seen in many Japanese professionals and is referred to as the craftsman spirit or artisan spirit, undeterred by profit, indifferent to others' opinions, enduring loneliness, and dedicated to perfection. Just like the acclaimed baseball prodigy Ichiro Suzuki in the Japanese sports world, who explained in an interview that his peak performance came from tirelessly practicing the basics, ingraining them from mental to muscle memory until they became second nature. Similarly, Takashi Kotegawa mentioned that his keen sense of trading, despite having only read a basic trading guidebook, was honed through repeated practice. Takashi Kotegawa's trading strategy falls under day trading, which involves frequent buying and selling. He explained that he disregards analytical data like price-earnings ratio, PER, or price-to-book ratio, PBR, because he never holds stocks for long. Instead, he looks to market indices, futures indices, and global central bank trends for guidance. He once said, "I have no clue where the Japanese stock market's headed next. Long-term trends don't interest me." Kotegawa is a classic short-term trader, typically holding stocks for only a day to a week, never longer than 10 days, with the 25-day deviation ratio as his main technical indicator. While his trading style may not be for everyone, his calm approach to gains and losses is something we can all appreciate. In 2008, during an interview, Japanese host Hiroshi Kume stared at the enormous transaction amounts on Kotegawa's computer and exclaimed, "Wow, if that were me, I couldn't handle the pressure." Yet when he saw the extent of Kotegawa's holdings, he couldn't help but laugh and said, "Wow, you never have to work again in your life." Kume's highly fluctuating emotional responses were in stark contrast to Takashi Kotegawa's incredibly calm demeanor. It seemed like price fluctuations couldn't affect him at all. In another interview, when discussing the day's trading volume of 7 to 8 billion yen, Kotegawa remained utterly composed, without a hint of emotion crossing his face.
どのぐらいなんですか、トータルで。
少ないですね。80億か70億、80億。
After gaining widespread fame, SoftBank president Masayoshi Son once invited him to dinner and proposed that he manage his assets, but Kotegawa politely declined. He explained that he was not suited for managing other people's funds because it would cause him unnecessary mental pressure. If he managed other people's funds and they were in a loss position midway through the month, he would feel anxious. This anxiety would make it easier to lose money. He liked to do things at his own pace. This shows that Kotegawa was highly rational and self-disciplined, trading stocks like a machine without any emotion. From this, it can be seen that Takashi Kotegawa was incredibly rational and disciplined. When it came to trading stocks, he functioned like a machine, operating with no signs of emotion. Takashi Kotegawa once famously said, "The most crucial part of investing is knowing when to quit. The timing of your exit is everything. If you focus on cutting losses early, your profits will naturally grow. If the market falls more than I expected, I cut my losses immediately rather than wait for a rebound." Many people study Kotegawa's short-term trading techniques repeatedly, hoping to follow in his footsteps. Yet, they may not realize that his secret to success lies in his disciplined, composed nature and cool-headed mindset. That's all for today. If you like our video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in next video.